Okay, we'll start in the barn. So this barn has two sides. One side is used for stalls, the middle is used for hay storage, and this side is our stalls. We pretty much have an open door policy here. We have a section of the hallway closed off, so they can only come in so far. And our stalls have doors, but we generally keep them open. Our horses are pretty friendly and like to visit in each other's stall. Ollie has some arthritis issues, so he gets a really super duper bedded stall that everybody seems to really like to poop in. And Ollie pretty much at all times has hay bags in his stall because he has a tendency to want to spend some time in there and eat by himself. So there's Ollie's stall. And here is the other stalls opened up. The other three horses here don't really sleep in their stalls, so they don't even really go to the bathroom in them a whole lot, so very minimal bedding in those stalls. And then the aisleway opens up into our dry lot. So the dry lot connects to that track and this track. We had some issues over the winter with mud. We're trying a couple different gravel variety areas, and they seem to really be drawn to going to the bathroom in those areas. So we're finding what works best for drainage and easy cleanup and what they seem to be interested in. Our big covered hay feeder there is going to be moved to the back of our track, but that pretty much keeps our round bale nice and dry. We found over the winter that feeding in this dry lot, unless absolutely necessary, was a mess. Between mud and poop and snow and wet hay, it was really kind of a disaster. So we're concentrating quite a bit this spring on getting our tracks ready to handle year-round use by our horses. So I've shared before that the concept of the track is to encourage natural movement. So you'll see that we have water at this end, and then there's a big round bale at that end. And we put bags at a variety of locations around the track so everybody can have their own space if they'd like. And the concept is they eat back here and they have to walk all the way up here for water, and then they walk all the way back for food, and they're much more active horses. This track is currently very grassy because we just put it up, so it'll take a couple weeks for these handy dandy four-legged lawnmowers to eat all that down and get it pretty well to a dirt surface, if not grass short enough that they don't really try to eat it. And then that leaves us with really, really pretty inner pastures on the inside of our tracks that we can rotate the grazing on so that the grasses stay nice and high. So clearly we've been letting this one grow up, and we've got a lot of really nice, tall, pretty grass in certain areas, some not so much. But once they get the track ate down to where they can be on it all the time, they'll spend their morning grazing hours rotated on this pasture and the pasture on the inside of the other track. We have this additional grazing area here at the back of the dry lot, and we just open up one of our pipe gates and let them in there to graze that once it gets nice and tall and ready for it. This here is our sand pit. Maverick loves to nap in this sand pit, and I think he might be the only one that's figured out to roll in it, but we think with time they'll figure that out. So then we enter into the original track, And I'd say it's about just shy of a 1/4 mile track all the way around. And you can see that our inner pasture here, we've obviously been using to graze more, so the grass is a little bit shorter, which we really don't want. So we're gonna give it a rest while they're working on the other track. And we have tried a variety of ways to use our hay bags, and we're anxious to get the covered round bale feeder out because we find that it's a little easier to manage and it cuts back on our hay bags by about half every day. So we use gates, we use wooden posts, and there's a couple different options. We've used composite posts, which originally when we built this track, we decided we wanted all of the eating to happen at this end, the far end, and the horses seemed to differ. So now that there's a round bale back there, they seem to be spending more time at the round bale, but we've had a typical wet Midwest spring, so our round bale has gotten a little wet and they're turning their nose up to it, so got to get that cover out pretty soon. Here is another one of our ideas to keep hay bags dry. It's basically a blue barrel you get from your farm supply store, cut in half with a drill hole at the end that we put our hay chicks knot through so that they can't pull it out. I think it definitely keeps it dry and kind of keeps the waste all in one space. But if you have a frisky horse that is playful, we have a tendency, our pony will push it all over the place. So sometimes it winds up underneath the hot fence and he'll walk away from it and not touch it because he doesn't know how to pull it back in. So that's one of our hay feeding stations. This here is another, basically just a feeding trough that we've put an eye hook in, concrete blocks so they can't push it around. And we hook our bag or tie our bag into that feeding station. Here are our composite posts that we've put eye hooks at the top of. We hang our bag on there. That way if they get rowdy around the posts, they wiggle a little bit. They didn't seem to be really interested in the bags at these posts for whatever reason. So here's our round bale area. We actually built this up quite a bit, put some gravel under it so that we wouldn't wind up with a muddy mess. And hopefully we get some dry time in the next couple days and we can burn the remainder of this and bring a nice fresh bale in the covered feeder out for them. Another hay feeding station, just an old water trough, same situation. Put an eye hook in there, tie our bags. Those concrete blocks typically go in here so that they don't push it around. And then down this side, we have more blue barrels. And at the far end is a small tire that we tie a bag to. And surprisingly enough, that seems to be, quite honestly, the sturdiest ground anchor for the hay bags. And we're always looking for people who want to give away heavy tires that we can tie hay bags to. So for the most part, that is our track system. I don't know if it makes a little more sense to everybody now that you got a little guided tour, but then our next project is a potential third section to the track, which is all of this really pretty tall grass. And we will have to see how far we get with that this spring or summer. It might be a next spring project, but we're pretty excited about it. Our horses seem to really love the setup. They are essentially able to decide whether they are in or out at all times. And for the most part, they like to be out. If it's hot or the flies are bothering, the open stall policy gives them the opportunity to go in and stall themselves for a certain amount of time if they choose, and then they come back outside whenever they want. So it's pretty much horsey heaven, in my opinion, and if anybody has any questions about the track or is interested in learning more, I found this concept by reading Paddock Paradise from Jamie Jackson, and it's basically trying to mimic a wild horse living environment by providing, you know, different surfaces to walk on, different forages to eat, and strategically placing water sources so that there is encouraged extra exercise. Great book, super easy to read, and explained a ton to me. They say that our inner grazing areas can also be used for, you know, to put small riding round pins in, or to put obstacles in, or, you know, really be able to use the inner part of your tracks for space that becomes a little more functional. But that is yet to come. So hope you enjoyed. It's our track. Those are our happy, hungry horses. Everybody have a great day.